Greeting guys, welcome up to the brand new episode of Redemption of the Rotten. I'm your host MrYazMan300 and joining me once again is Joe Morton. How you doing, Joe?
Doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing well. And joining me now for the first time is Madeline, how do you pronounce your last name?
Stanley.
Madeline Stanley. I don't know, because I was thinking about a different person with the name Madeline.
Just the traditional way you say Stanley.
Because I was thinking about the actors of from Riverdale. I think her name is Madeline Pieste. I don't know how you pronounce her name, because every time I think the word Madeline, I think of her.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm just an old Madeline Stanley over here, but happy to be here.
Yeah. Especially now with the movie we're about to talk about, and boy, I think it's gonna be an episode. I've never seen people fight this versus since what was it, Godzilla versus Kong and Batman and Superman. But I think it's gonna be a better version than Batman and Superman for sure. Okay, so
we can only hope.
Yeah. So how are you guys doing today? Because I know Joe, and for those of you who don't know, Joe and I, we were at Mark's Zoom call, and yesterday was Comic-Con. We did the reaction to the MCU news.
Yeah, it was a fun time. And after you left, some of us still hung on for a little bit. I think Dim and I dipped out about, I hate to say it was late, but got some good sleep, and I'm feeling good, man. Looking forward to this.
Yeah. And also, did anyone join the Zoom call after I left? Because I know it was you, Dim, and I don't know if Andy was with you guys, and Mark.
He was, on his cell phone, but I think it was a tight crew yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was fun. My favorite part is when you were looking at some screenshot of Black Panther, you were like, go back, and then you were noticing the Ryan Gosling Photoshop. That was a moment.
Yeah.
Basically, someone took Black Panther, T'Challa, and he photoshopped Ryan Gosling's face. It was like, go back. And my favorite one was the reply, why are you so obsessed with this guy? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so that was a very emotional, trailer, the Black Panther one.
Yeah, I'm excited for Black Panther. I'm interested to see where they go with it.
Yep. Black Panther, while I enjoyed the film, overall, it didn't do a whole lot for me. And the trailer for this new one, for whatever reason, it's got me hyped for the new one.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think people are
just a particular vibe in this one.
I think.
Well, the music for Black Panther is always what gets me. Like Ludwig Göransson is like one of my favorite. What's the word I'm looking for? Composers, I guess.
Yes.
Working composers, yeah.
Yeah, he works everything he does is amazing.
Even Venom, because he did Venom 1 also.
I mean, I didn't see Venom, but I'm going to say probably Ludwig's score for Venom is probably the best part of Venom. It's just what my guess.
That's entirely likely, yeah.
I mean, we've seen movies where the score, but I think was it The Last Airbender, James Newton Howard, he did the score for it. And his score, I think they say, is better than the film.
We don't talk about that movie.
Yeah. Maybe one day we do the podcast. Maybe when that live-action TV show on Netflix gets released, maybe we might even talk about it.
We can only hope that one is actually decent.
Yeah. Especially about
movie theater when that movie came out.
Oh, really?
And the disappointed faces of people leaving the theater was enough to tell me that was not a good film. The people at the midnight release just came out so sad. They were just like heads down, just like the most forlorn faces I've seen in a while.
Yeah, I had no context because I had not seen the show when I saw that film. And even then, I could tell that it was, quite the steaming pile of excrement. And I'm so happy that I finally gave the show a shot years later because it's outstanding. And I love that they have a feature-length animated film that's going to continue the original Team Avatar crew.
Yeah.
So that's fun. That was just announced recently.
Yeah, because they were supposed to be doing it a long time ago, but they say that this movie's failure affected it's like to pull hold on any Avatar project that they have in the work, and they end up creating Korra instead.
which I love. I'm totally down with Korra, but
Because I know people
think
say
a lot of the
after season
original.
1, some people would kind of mix about the Korra series.
Yeah, I feel like it dips a little bit in the second season, but overall, I think it's a really good series. It's got a lot going for it. It's tons of fun.
All right, that'll be something, because I know a lot of people do kind of have some mixed feeling about the live action Netflix show, because the creators, they left the project be safe because creative difference. People are like, okay, how can we trust, because after what happened with the live action movie. But we'll have to
I
wait
also don't really trust.
Valid concerns.
I don't trust Netflix after the Death Note movie either.
Did you hear about the TV show they're doing with the Duffer Brothers?
Mm-hmm. We'll see.
I mean,
don't know
they've
that I
been doing the
have.
Horizon
Yeah.
Zero Dawn TV show.
Oh, okay.
No, not the Duffer Brothers, Netflix.
Yeah, we'll see.
Which I think it's a mistake to have it on Netflix. Should have been on either Apple or Amazon. Because I'm hearing great things about their sci-fi stuff from them. God, makes you wonder if this show we're gonna get cancelled or not. I will admit, I know we're supposed to be Malignant, but one last thing I want to talk about the panel. I was actually surprised there was no casting or director announcement for the Fantastic Four. It looks like we might have, because they say that there's going to be filmed next year. Maybe wonder, are they saving the announcement for D23? Because there are people saying they're saving some announcement for D23, but that's I think in September, if I'm not mistaken.
That's got to be it.
Yeah. I mean, if the story is this true that they're shooting it soon, then they have to announce.
There are things too. I wonder how much they want to keep under wraps, because it is such a so that people have such fervor for it that they want to keep it as long as they can to kind of keep building up the tension, keep building up the.
I mean, the titles for the movies that they announced yesterday, they were all leaked. I think it was the day before. When all of these the Marvel registered domain names got leaked. Because I don't know if you guys heard about this theory. They say that in Black Panther, they say that there might be a theory that they might be setting up Doom, where you find out that maybe a post-credit scene, you find out that maybe Doom is the guy who killed T'Challa, that they're setting him up like the next bad, maybe after Secret Wars.
Right, and that's why I wonder about Fantastic Four. If they are setting that up, then they might want to wait till that movie comes out to actually even say anything.
What are the chances that you think Doom might be one of Kang's variant? Because remember, he said there are multiple variants. What can it be his, or can they have different actor play him?
I don't know. Don't they have some type of relation in the comics?
I know Iron Lad and
I can't
Kang,
remember.
but I don't know. I mean, they can do anything. They do it different. All right, now.
See, we will see.
Yeah, we will see.
Surprises await us.
Yep.
Yes, and we are the built-in audience, so they're going to do
Especially
just
after
fine.
DC have their panel, because you saw their panels. There was only 2 things they announced. Shazam trailer and Black Adam. And I actually don't blame.
And you forgot Zack Snyder is going to be in Teen Titans Go.
Right.
Okay, that's very exciting.
That's something. Because I know a guy, he's not a fan of Zack Snyder, he's not a fan of his movies. Like, I think he watches Teen Titans Go, and I think I'm kind of curious to see what his thoughts on this news. Oh my god. So yes, because DC, I don't blame them, because I think they were supposed also to announce the Flash information, but we all know what that happened.
Yeah.
Mila is
really
making that
talking
hard
about that
for
stuff
them
right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. I think we should
I'm sure
start
Grant Gustin is just a phone call away.
I don't know if he wants to do it again, because they're ending, I think, next season.
I'm sure he's tired of it. Yeah.
And he's like, I want to take a break, because he's now also a dad now also.
Yeah.
9 years, think about it, on the show, like, Cat 10 if you count his appearance in Arrow. Because he 2013, because next year, man, 10 years been playing this character.
probably would like a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
Probably wants to do different things.
Yeah,
Probably sick of having to keep the regiment to be such a skinny dude all the time too.
especially the fact, remember you mentioned skin. I remember he one time got body shamed when there's a photo got leaked of his suit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he even responded because I don't know. If, I remember Greg. He talked about it during I think one of the pre-shows of the Kind of Funny podcast.
Mm.
And people
Well, that's
sometimes are.
awful.
I don't support body shaming for anyone.
No, that's not cool.
Yeah, don't body shame people. Oh, we should actually. It's not an easy mood to talk about it after transition right now and before we actually begin, I want to do one last final housekeeping. If you guys might know, Joe actually made a deal with me that if my YouTube channel reaches 1 million subscribers, we're going to review the adventures of Achela, me, and Andy, and another guest if who's interested. So far right now, my YouTube channel, I think it's about 28 subscribers. Come get subscribers so we can get the episode ready.
Subscribe right now.
Yep, I'm starting to get nervous.
You should have seen him because when I showed to him, what's it like 2 Zoom calls ago, and Joe was like, it broke him. And he saw it. He said,
It's so bad.
Yeah,
it's so bad.
Out of all the horror things he's seen, this one actually broke him.
Subscribe and get us up to 999,000.
Yeah.
And then just 1,000 shy of 1 million. Just to save Joe's sanity.
That will take time for maybe he can have.
It's pretty well broken.
I know because I got Andy because we were supposed to do basketball and he was like, oh, you know what? Because we had to delay it one time. It's like, I'll do anything, any podcast for you. He gave me like the pass. So it's like, fine, I'll use it on this one. That's a punishment for him. All right. So I think we should begin up with the housekeeping, and so this is actually a very long-awaited episode because for those people who don't know, Joe and Maddie have a love and hate relationship with this movie. That's the best way to describe it. Because I remember seeing like
because
sure.
Just go ahead.
I love Joe and I hate this movie. That's the love-hate relationship.
Yeah, that pretty much describes it.
Yeah. And we should thank the Snyder fans because I told Joe if his episode of Man of Steel reaches 1,000 subscribers before Joe's or Andy's, and we'll do this episode, and it did before them. So thank you guys for the Snyder fans. Even though I know I hate mostly 90% of them to say how toxic they are. Yeah. All right. That's the only positive thing they've done. So, like I said, today's movie is Malignant, directed by James Wan, whom thankfully I have 2 horror experts with me, with Joe and Maddie, and we all know him for creating 3 horror franchises: Saw, Conjuring, and Insidious. He's also
shirt in tribute to James Wan.
Oh, that's the Saw shirt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because I noticed the spiral and the symbol looks like a trap, so I recognized it.
Yep.
Okay. And so he also did Aquaman and Fury 7, 2 films that he did that made $1 billion. I'm pretty sure Maddie's happy that this movie didn't make $1 billion. And but for an interesting fact that I was reading about it behind the scene, he co-wrote this with his wife, Ingrid Bisu, if that's how you pronounce her name, because she's a Romanian actress. And she's also does appear in the film. She plays, I think, the coroner. Is it CSI or the coroner?
Yeah, like forensic scientist.
Something
like that.
Forensic.
Yeah. He co-wrote with her the script. That's the only thing I could find out about behind the scenes stuff, because there was no problems with this movie. There was not like drama and things. Just like, hey, James Wan was like, hey, I want to make this type of gallo movie that I love. It was like, yeah, you made us Aquaman, you made us $1 billion. It's like, here, take the money, you make this movie you want to make.
Yeah, it definitely is a passion project for him. I believe he said it's something that he's been wanting to make for a while. And I think, you kind of have carte blanche when you've made so many billion-dollar franchises for the studio. But I just kind of wish he had a passion project about something else.
I don't know. God knows what else he has a passion for. because we know he's doing Aquaman 2 right now, and he did mention that he's inspired by, I think, as an Italian sci-fi B movie. I think something Planet, something like this. Just wonder how this is going to look like. So this film actually,
if he's inspired by Planet of the Vampires, that might be interesting.
This one.
I liked that movie a lot. If you haven't seen that one, Joe, check that one out.
Is it on Shudder? Maybe people can
Put
check
it on
it
the
out.
list.
Ooh, I don't know if it's on Cheddar. I think we might have rented it from a movie store.
Yeah. I mean, this film, like, because one thing you recognize, because I know that for his movies, he sometimes would get recognizable actors for his movies, because, he had Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga for the Conjuring films. He brought back also Patrick Wilson and, what's her name, from X-Men First Class. She's married to Bobby Cannavale. She was in Insidious, Patrick Wilson's wife. What's her name?
Is her name?
I'm blanking.
I feel like it's Rose something.
I think it's Rose Byrne.
Rose Byrne.
Yeah,
Yes,
Rose
yes,
Byrne.
I remember she was also in The Neighbors, and this one I think I'm actually this too surprised, because you see, like, this has lots of recognize, but maybe with the exception of the lead, Annabelle Wallis, whom you might recognize her from Peaky Blinders and the Tom Cruise Mommy movies, because most of the cast is like they're mostly TV actors, they're up and comers.
Well, and Annabelle Wallis, the lead, she was also in the Annabelle movie.
Oh, that's right, the first one. Is that the one with they had also Alfred Woodard, or is I'm thinking of a different actress?
It's been forever since I've seen the first Annabelle, so I'm not sure who
I think
else
it's a
is in it.
different actress.
Yeah.
Planet of the Vampires, by the way, is streaming for Prime Video subscribers.
Ah,
So there you go.
so
There you go. I would watch it.
watch party on
It's
Twitch.
very... it's campy, but it's fun, and it's got some cool visual stuff going on. So I would like to see James Wan's take on that, actually.
In fact, the kids, the young actors in this movie are the most recognizable one, because you got McKenna Grace, who plays the younger version of Annabelle Wallis, and you also got Madison Wolfe, who we'll talk about later in the film. She's actually the actress that was possessed by the demon in The Conjuring 2.
Yeah, McKenna Grace, I literally wrote in my notes, McKenna Grace is a treasure, because she is so good in everything that she's in. She's one of the best young working actresses, I think,
She's
doing
been in-
things right
yeah,
now.
she's
She was
in
the
lot-
best part of this movie.
Yeah. I mean, she was in, what was it? Captain Marvel. She played young Brie Larson, Captain Marvel. And her big role right now is Ghostbusters Afterlife. And I forgot that she was also in The Haunting of Hill House. She played the younger version of, what's the actor's name who plays Mike Flanagan's wife in real life? Is it Katie Siegel?
Katie Siegel.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, she's great in Hill House too.
Yeah. Because
I hope she goes
I
on to
forgot that
do
she
more
was also
Flanagan
in-
stuff. In fact, I think she is, isn't she? Isn't she in Fall of the House of Usher?
I think so. Or she might be in Midnight Club. I don't know, but she's in another Flanagan project.
And I also forgot she was in the third Annabelle
Very
movie.
cool.
She played the daughter of the what's it called, the Warrens. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so most of the cast, like I said, most of them were up and coming actors. We got Maddie Haslam. She plays like the sister of Annabelle Wallis. You got George Young and Michelle Brianna White. They played the detective. We got Jean Louise Kelly. She was actually, I don't know if you guys remember her. She was the oldest daughter in Uncle Buck.
Oh,
Little buck.
She plays the Jane.
so
Doe.
Macaulay Culkin's sister, or no, the
no,
older sister.
The older
Okay,
sister, like the rebel one. Like
gotcha.
the end
Yeah.
of the movie, Uncle Buck tries to stop her from having sex with her crap idiot boyfriend. They find out it's a different person. That's actually a horror
I
scene.
did
on
not
its
know
own.
where that was going.
Yeah, because she was recently in Top Gun
I didn't
Maverick
know this
also.
would turn into an Uncle Buck cast.
Welcome to
Oh.
the Uncle Buck cast, everyone. We didn't like Malignant
Yes.
so much that we're just going to talk about Uncle Buck.
Because I actually do recognize her. She was in Yesterday. She played one of the wives, and most recently she was in Top Gun Maverick. If you guys remember her. I'll tell you
No, I
about
don't
who
remember her.
she's playing after the part, because I don't want to spoil for people.
Mm.
Okay, They even got Oliver Queen's mom from Arrow in the film. She plays like Madison's mom, and the abusive boyfriend. He was actually in the Percy Jackson film, which I'm going to make Andy force to see because his boyfriend is in it, Nathan Fillion. That's the only reason why I'm making him watch that film. And finally, did you guys recognize that the doctor, Dr. Weaver, who she is? The actress?
I did not. No.
Familiar, but I'm not sure.
She was the woman in Deep Blue Sea. Not the evil one. The shark. You know, she said, "I can't reach," and he bites her from. He tells her, "You want this?" to Thomas J, and then he drags her down the water. That's her.
Fun horror people. Fun horror actors and actors.
Yeah.
We got, I think, a cameo by Andy Bean. He plays Frank. You guys know he was in It Chapter 2, and he was in Swamp Thing. This the human form of Swamp Thing before he became Swamp Thing. And that's it.
I was looking for Jigsaw somewhere in there, or the little doll Billy the puppet. Did you see him anywhere, either of you? Because I know that James Wan likes to put him in the background of things.
We noticed Annabelle in the Shazam 2 trailer, and that I think Joe who pointed out to me.
Yep. She's in the doctor's office in the trailer. But I think she shows up in the original Shazam, and I know she's in Aquaman as well.
Yeah. So maybe Annabelle was in there somewhere and we missed her.
So the Conjuring room is part of the DCEU now?
All one universe.
Yeah.
Okay. And also, Gabriel, I don't know if you might not know, he's played by two actors. The voice actor who... I forgot the actor's name who plays like the physical performance, but the voice performance is a voice actor named Ray Chase. If you guys are anime fan, you recognize that he's done voiceover for anime, but for video game fan, he was in Final Fantasy 15. He was the lead Noctis.
Oh,
so basically, Gabriel is Noctis. So every time you hear Noctis, we play Final Fantasy. I think that these players are playing as Gabriel from Malignant.
I mean, they have a similar jacket, right? Like, they both wear a long black cloak.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone should go and, create a mod for the PC version where you play as Gabriel from Malignant for Final Fantasy 15. Is the game?
No, don't do that.
Maybe they'll make jokes.
I don't know. Yes, just willed this into the universe. So.
Oh, no.
Well, come on, someone might have already done it. There's a rule. What's it? Rule 34. There's a rule 34 for everything. There's one where
we don't need any Gabriel Rule 34s. Please, no. Please never.
Someone right now is working at Rule 34 Gabriel. God. It was the original form of Gabriel.
Oh my gosh.
Right now,
I do have to say that Gabriel looks stupid, but he also looks pretty good. Like, the practical effect of him, like, I can appreciate it. Even though I think the design is bad. I don't think the design is good, but I think it was executed well, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's sufficiently creepy, all the movements and everything, because you're being played by a contortionist. And, I think it's difficult to pick up in the first watch that everything is kind of backwards. You just notice it as being awkward.
For me, actually, I wish
oddly
because
jointed.
of all the tweets that you guys have been tweeting about the fight scene from the police station. I actually got spoiled because I got spoiled about the twist of the film. I was like watching the film. It's like, I already knew. It's like, the way I say, like, they did a great job.
Yeah, because you see it all once you know the twist. Yeah.
Do you know the conceit of the film? It's impossible not to see it through the entire thing. You're like, well, it's obviously her. Like it's obviously someone backwards. I
mean, if, without knowing this, I had the feeling that it was her because I feel like because I've seen some horror movies where they do this directions. Like, I think there have been some gallows where they made like the guy you think the hero turns out to be the killer, Joe.
Yeah. Tenebrae. That's definitely an Argento one where the main character is the killer. But
because it is something you've seen it happen in other horror films, so you can have an idea, so you can see it coming. But I don't think I've seen the backward thing. I think if I had not known, I think I would have seen it coming, the backward thing.
Yeah.
It is funny watching it again, having seen it. I noticed how many times they say like, "Oh, it's all in my head. Oh, it's at the back of my mind." They say it
Hmm.
so many times. Oh, it's just everything is in my head, and I'm like, it's honestly almost becomes like a comedy to me when I was watching it. I was like,
I
every
mean, it
other
does have.
sentence
I
they're
did laugh at
saying
one
it.
scene, but I don't think it's supposed to be a comedy. We'll talk about it later. So what was I talking about? Oh yes. We were talking about Gabriel, but I forgot. What was I talking about? Now, you know what? I think we should start more because I forgot what I want. Maybe I might remember it later. So we should start recapping with the film.
Your
So,
mind.
oh yes, I know you just mentioned me. They played the song from what was it? From Fight Club throughout the film. I mean, it's the
Yes.
instrumental version.
So many times they played that Sting, "Where Is My Mind?"
Yeah, that's what. Because I remember listening. It's like, is this the song from Fight Club? Because every time I'm listening to it, I was like, no, right, it is.
I do think it was a cool arrangement of
Yeah.
that Pixie song, "Where Is My Mind?" But they use it a lot. That little do 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 do. That Sting over and over and over again.
Yeah. So we begin actually in 1993 in a hospital which looks like the castle from Castlevania for some reason.
That place looks sick.
Yeah.
It looks cool.
Is that supposed to be in
Yeah,
Seattle?
it's dope.
Do Seattle have this type of
Yeah, just outside of Seattle.
Yeah, because
I
this-
love how
I
it's like
don't
on the
think
edge
so,
of a
but-
cliff. It's like literally like 1 centimeter away from falling off of a cliff, and I love the danger that they've
and
created at that
yes,
place.
and I love the callback to that later in the film.
Where she literally drives her car like up over to the edge of the cliff.
Yeah, she parks at the very edge, and yeah, we'll get into that later.
And now that you branch it, what kind of a person will build a hospital on the edge of the cliff? Because this movie left me asking some questions. Okay.
I kind of wondered if it was an
That
homage
fresh sea
to
air.
the house on Haunted Hill, because that house is
Yeah.
like up on the edge of that
That's
as
a good
well. They
pull.
kind of have a similar vibe.
I mean, his movie, this sounds like a homage. How do you pronounce homage? So I apologize because English is not my first language. Like, imagine that.
Homage, yeah.
Because, so like I said, it opens with, like, we see that doctor, Florence Weaver. She's recording, like, a video to talk about Gabriel. Then she get notified, it's like Gabriel is trying to escape. And you recognize one of the nurse. She was in the Curse of La Llorona. I mean, it's not the same character, but she was in that movie. And you will notice that some of the actors, they got special credit appearance in the credit, which includes also Mackenzie Grace. Forgot that. I think his name is Patricia Velasquez, something like this, if I'm not mistaken. So they get
Also, everybody go watch the Guatemalan La Llorona. That actually has some, interesting commentary, and not the one that's part of the Conjuring universe. I'm just saying,
and apparently, I don't know.
You didn't like
one
that
of these
one?
things is not like the others.
Apparently, the Conjuring La Llorona, the actress who plays La Llorona, I think she's in real life, she's Angry Joe's cousin, if I'm not mistaken. Because he did the review. It's like he didn't post it, but he was doing his worst movies of the year. That was on the list. It's like we were supposed to post it, but then I was like, wait a minute. He had to go back and research. Oh, that's my cousin in the film. So it's like, hey, I'm not gonna post it because I read it without knowing this. That's the thing about being a critic. Sometimes you want to watch movies like, oh, your friend worked on this, and you're like, man, how the hell am I gonna review this? Sometimes.
Well, I think there's
Gotta
a
be
difference.
very
I think
upfront about all that.
Yeah, that's something that I think is important for like this conversation too, which is that like I totally respect that people like Malignant, and I don't think it's a film without merit or something that like should not have happened. It's just like personally I don't enjoy it. What I love about film discourse is that like Joe can really appreciate a lot of things about it, and I can not appreciate them, but that's still like that doesn't mean that I think that everyone who worked on it should be fired or anything. It's just like we can all make different art of different kinds, and some of it like works more for some people than other people.
Yeah, because I remember I was watching, a guy, he reviews movies. He reviewed the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the one on Netflix. He didn't like it because he was part of it because he's a hardcore fan of the original film, and he didn't like the movie about. But he said that the movie has some great gore scene and stuff. But then I think a few days later he was meeting with a friend of his. He found out that the director of the film is a friend of his friend who he's just meeting. He's like, and he even said like, look, I just say some parts about the film, but I just talk about it. And she said, no, it's okay. Because like sometimes it happens like
James Wan. And if I ever met him, I would be like, I love almost everything that you worked on, except for Malignant. I probably wouldn't say that, but I would say I love all the stuff. And this one just didn't work for me, but that's
some
okay.
people they act like assholes, and when you meet people, it's like, man, I hate this. Like, but some people, it's like, yeah, I mean, I didn't. Some because just besides, like, if I meet someone, it's like, you tell me what do you think of films, like, yeah, I mean, if I became a filmmaker, I feel like if I was a filmmaker, someone asked me for an opinion for a movie, I don't want to talk negative about it. It's like, man, people think I'm an egotistical idiot who thinks that he's better than everyone. Because I remember what's his name, Chris Stockman. You guys know him, that the YouTube reviewer. He actually is making a movie. I don't know if he's gonna quit or not, but I think he mentioned that he might quit reviewing movies because he's becoming a filmmaker. He said it won't be a right thing for me to review movies at the same time. Like, I ended up criticizing film at the same time. I'm also making movies. I don't think it's the right thing. So I decided, he might end up taking a break from reviewing to focus on filmmaking.
So much too of how you receive films and how you review them and criticize them also like has to do with your expectations. And I think that was a big thing for me with Malignant, which was that I went into this movie thinking it was going to be more similar to The Conjuring, but like with a giallo bent. And so, like, I thought it was going to be more serious. I thought it was going to be more scary. I thought it was going to be, like, a little bit closer to what I was expecting from him. So when I didn't get that, I feel like that pushed me in the other direction. What?
Yeah, it definitely turned into the bonkers side of giallo.
Yeah.
Full tilt.
Yeah, because...
So it's like, if you're not expecting that, then it also, like, pushes you further into, like, whoa, I don't like this. This isn't what I wanted. And I think that's what we get a lot with horror films, like even with that Texas Chainsaw remake you were talking about. Yeah, it's like if you were kind of expecting a more faithful to the genre remake or requel or whatever they're calling that one, you might not be happy with that.
I'm also curious to see
I don't like that word.
Yeah, because I'm also sick of tired of this one and people elevator horror comments they're saying. And also fan service, because what they're doing with Star Wars, like, they're having nostalgia and fan service. I'm just getting sick of tired by. That's one of the reason why one reason when I'm not happy with the new Mortal Kombat film and Welcome to Raccoon City. One of my big issues with them is that people are giving them a pass because for the fan service. I've seen some people.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah. Because I know I've seen some people, it's like, yeah, I'm not giving it a good thing because it's a bad film because of the fan service. Sometimes I hear people, it's like, what's it, Fantastic Beasts, then the last one that came out, people I know say that they've heard that they had friends with them, they're critics, and the review they told them, even if I like this movie, I'm still giving a negative review because of J.K. Rowling. Because saying that this movie has people who had nothing to do with her, they work hard on this film, and people are only giving a negative review because of her name.
Yeah, that's hard.
I think there were plenty of people that... I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Joe.
Well, I was just going to say, I think plenty of people gave that film a negative review because they found it very boring. But, yeah, I think...
There have been some people with
as much as she's a pain in the ass with just who she's been these past few years, yeah, that's no right to dump on this film that she had probably zero input on other than just the creation of the characters. Yeah.
Sometimes
totally
you see, like, remember before reviews could come out, you see the social media because people who saw advanced screening, I saw advanced screening, this movie is amazing, etc. But then when you see it's like, what the hell is this? People are saying this is going to be the best film ever because I don't, movies like, remember Wonder Woman, people were saying that the second one is a very feminist movie, and you saw it was like, they do some unfeminist stuff in the film. It was like, how the hell is this? People sometimes talk about it. Because that's why sometimes when I watch critics, sometimes I have to be careful on the people I listen to. People saying, so sometimes you have to say everyone. It's like, yeah, but if I listen to everyone, means that some of them are also, they're not telling their honest opinions. That's why you have to be very picky when you want to listen to critics. listen to people who you think are right, because even sometimes, even the best ones, sometimes you see that they give sometimes questionable reviews. Roger Ebert, he gave Spawn a very good glowing review. Did you guys know about this?
You gave what a glowing review?
Spawn.
Well, that's the thing though with reviews though, which is that there's not really a right way to review something. So if you want a more political bet on your reviewer, like find a reviewer that is going into the politics of it. If you don't want that, you have to find somebody who isn't going to take those things into consideration. And it's more like there isn't a correct way to do it. So it's just finding what you feel works best for you. And those people that talk about the things that are important to you about a film, whether that be the way that it looks, the way that it sounds, the way that it was made and that sort of thing. There's so many different ways to come about talking about a film. Yeah. So just finding what makes sense for you and what you're looking for.
Yeah. And sometimes
films, video games, TV, absolutely, all those things.
Totally.
Find somebody who has a voice that you find you can respect and that tends to steer you in a right direction. And if that's the case, keep going back to them.
Yeah. And sometimes you would notice that sometimes they would give a review because of who's making the film. I mean, the good example that happened recently, Licorice Pizza. This is a film of, if you guys don't know the plot of the film, but basically about an adult woman who's falling in love with a minor. People are giving good review for the movie with this plot, and people
that really bothered me. When I read about this, I haven't seen Licorice Pizza, so take my opinion with a grain of salt because I haven't actually seen the film. But when I read about it, I was like, if this was gender swapped, people would be furious.
Yep.
If it was about an adult man trying to have a relationship with a teenage girl, and just because it has good film pedigree with the director doesn't mean that we should completely ignore the issues there with the sort of underage relationship. It's bothersome to me.
If that's the thing about Hollywood, because if you notice, like if you mentioned the gender swap, because if you notice that if you see like if it's the male doing something like this, it would get more of an uproar. But if it's the females, like there's not a lot of uproar. Because I remember when Wonder Woman 1984, when the scene where that you see like, because the plot of Wonder Woman 1984, like Trevor comes back and he's inside in another person's body, and then you see once that they had ended up sleeping together, and people are like, did she committed like a rape? That's what a lot of people were saying.
It's definitely I know it's a fantasy film, so there's a little bit of sort of suspension of disbelief there, but that shouldn't be a question that is raised in your mind when you're watching a film like that. Like the fact that they even put them in that situation is just kind of icky. Like similar to Licorice Pizza, if it was in the reverse, people would be really upset. And it's an unfortunate sort of double standard for men that
even Coming to America too had the
put in that situation.
You guys saw both of you saw Coming to America, the second one?
I did not know.
I barely got into the beginning of it, and I just.
It's in the beginning of the film. You find out how he conceived a son, because you find out that he got stoned and he ended up having sex with Leslie Jones. Like, wait a minute, people like this kind of feels similar to what happened with Wonder Woman 1984.
Weird.
Yeah.
Yep.
With 40.
I will say, as far as like problematic things, I really know that we were supposed to hate him, but the Derek character in this film in Malignant is truly one of the most despisable characters that I have seen in a while.
The moment you see him, he's actually the most hated person. With the way he was sitting,
he's horrible.
It's like,
when he says, "How many more of my children do I have to watch die inside of you?" I was like, dude, what? This man.
Yeah. There's one thing I have a problem with the film. It's like, I think some of the dialogue, I don't know if it's supposed to be done on purpose, supposed to be like one of those cheesy movies like from the B-movies that are with bad dialogues, or just they just wrote a bad script.
Right, I agree. Like the dialogue's a bit iffy. And I think that's something that, we were talking about the Munsters before the show.
Yeah.
I think is a hard thing when you're trying to pay homage to something. Like if something is bad, and you're paying homage to it, then you're making your thing bad. But like there is some sort of push and pull there, and I feel like for me it doesn't work in this film, where it's like I think it is paying homage to the dialogue of the Italian giallo films of the time, where their dialogue was like a little bit more stilted, a little bit like straight to the point, not quite as I don't know what the right
and
word
I think
is.
some of that could just be bad translations as well. But
Exactly.
it's almost like it's intentional in this. Yeah, I mean, we're kind of skipping over the beginning of this film, but yeah, when you first see this asshole, when
Basically, if you want me to do a quick recap of the beginning of the film, we in the hospital in 1993. We see like Dr. Weaver. She gets called saying, "Oh, Gabriel is running loose, about to escape." They capture him and just like we have to remove the cancer, but we don't see what happened. Then we cut back to her
but we get a great compound fracture.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so many
one
fractures.
of many in this film.
Yeah, and more fatalities, the better fatalities than the Mortal Kombat movie. And it's funny because James Wan produced the Mortal Kombat movie. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. He was not good. I blame mostly on Todd Garner and the new Scream that they had them oversee the film. That's an issue for another day.
James Wan does really like just some like trauma, some limb trauma. I think you can see in his films.
I mean,
it's like Mike Flanagan in Hands.
Yes.
Okay. So, like I said, 27 years later, it opens. We see like Madison Lake Mitchell. That's like we call her Maddie, but that's what they call her in the film. You see that she's pregnant. She lives with her abusive husband Derek, as we were talking about. Do you guys want to see more about Derek?
So when she comes home and walks upstairs, she's obviously experiencing some pain. It's implied it's something to do with the pregnancy. And she goes into the bedroom, and there he is, stretched out on the bed with his fucking boots on, drinking a beer and watching MMA in the middle of the day on like a fucking Tuesday.
I don't think he's even watching the TV.
It's like everything that.
Was he?
Yeah, he's also fucking around with his cell phone.
He was not watching the TV when she closes.
But it's all the shit that is just there to scream, this guy is an asshole.
And he's going to die.
It's very clear. And then he says what he says to her.
Yeah.
And they have their little tussle, and he bashes her head against the wall. I mean, it just the very, very much, this is an abusive spouse.
Yeah.
It just the embodiment of all of that. It's horrific. And good for her locking the door after he runs away to go get her something.
Yeah. That was the right move. At the same time, I was like, wait, she got 100 because you saw the blood come out from her head. I was just like, man, how is she going to handle this wound? Because unless she has like a medikit in the bathroom, we don't see it. But because we see
well, yeah, and
that's like nitpicky, but it is like she's just like, well, I have an open head wound. Guess I'll go to sleep. And you're like, well,
she is a nurse after all.
No.
She is a nurse, right?
Right. You should be thinking concussion. Yeah.
Yeah. So she locks the door and
also, God, this house is massive.
I know.
Like it's a really big house.
What is Derek's job? Because I know she's but I don't think they get paid that much.
I think he's like a contractor or something because he's got tons of tools and stuff.
Yeah. I was going to say, I do think, I'm not sure about this. I would have to look it up, but I do wonder if this is like the house. So there is like a house called like the Blum house that they shoot a lot of stuff in. And I believe that might be the same house that they did The Conjuring in as well. And some of the other films.
Yeah.
I think it is.
That would be cool.
So she locks the door, everything, and then she to fall asleep at the end of the night. And Derek, he hears sound coming from the kitchen. He goes to check it out, and then he sees nothing. He sees the blender or something. He turns it off, and the refrigerator door opens. Then he leaves.
Yeah, it goes open.
He sees the.
I will say this scene in the living room is one of my favorite scenes of the film because I do think this is like the part that is actually scary to me. I think past this, it loses a lot of the horror elements and it's more like just like action-y. But in this part where like he looks on the couch, he sees somebody and he turns on the light, they're gone, but you see the couch like raise up from where someone was sitting on it, and I was like, that is a really cool little thing.
That part felt like the couch is let loose a fart. I don't know why.
But it's like, someone was there. You can see it with your own eyes. Like, you saw somebody there, and then you saw the couch raise from its depression of someone sitting on it. And I'm like, that built a lot of tension there. I was like, ooh, this is exciting. We're gonna have some scares. And then I just don't feel like we get very many more good scares like this and for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, because I think I didn't see more of I think more of a psychological thriller than a horror.
Yeah.
That's what genre really is. It's more like mystery and detective stuff to a large degree. And occasionally you get horror elements that are thrown in there, but I think it's okay that it's not straight up horror as much as I think we all kind of wanted this film to be.
It's because of who's directing it. That's why.
Yeah.
Exactly. And his
James Wan also did a revenge film. I don't know if you guys saw the Death Sentence with Kevin Bacon. I saw it. It was a fine film. Let's see what.
I do like her finding the body as well. Like finding Derek's body, and it's like so fucked up with his head like hanging off the side and his limbs all crazy.
Yeah, and like vertebrae almost poking through his neck and. And then her being chased back upstairs, and the sound design of her holding the door and it getting forced open, and then her blown backwards there before the cops show up. The sound is awesome. There's so much in this film on a production level that is just amazing.
Yeah. I also say like those overhead shots where we get like the top down view where she's running through the house are really cool.
That's actually later when she comes back home after the attack.
Oh, is it? Yeah, it might be a little bit later.
Because she's wearing a rope, right? Because that's I think later.
Absolutely.
So he knocks her out and then she gets knocked up. Then we see the cop coming in to the house. We get introduced to the two.
Yeah, Kakoa's entrance is really good. You get all the swirling mist and all the blue and red lights, and
Regina Moss, that's his
he gets his big damn hero entrance. Yep. Yeah, she is clearly a Kojak fan. We see this over and over throughout the entire movie. She's always sucking on a lollipop. Yeah.
She's actually the actress, also a TV actress. She appears in lots of TV shows, for what I've read. I don't know if you recognize. So they go and first you see the body, and of course here we get introduced to the CSI Weenie. That's actually James Wan's wife, who has a crush on Kakoa. Makes me wonder if that's supposed to be James Wan and his wife. They wrote in his mind.
Probably, yeah. He's the detective character.
Yeah, but he was more interested in something else. We know what. Yeah, so. They see the body, and he says I think that CSI said it looks like something from a car accident than a murder.
It's a little macabre how excited she is. Like she's like, "Oh, come look at this! There was a man brutally murdered." Like, she's like so excited about it.
Yeah. She's very into her job.
Yeah.
So after that, we get cut to the hospital. We see Maddie and she wakes up and she and her sister's sitting with her. She tells her like, Derek died and you lost the baby. And then the next day we see like Kakoa, he comes in to talk with her. He finds out that she's been in an abusive relationship, and that I think here it's like she tells like I never knew nothing, but this is the first time I've seen her in years. And there I think it's where Sydney finds out that Kakoa tells her like this is her third miscarriage.
In 2 years.
In 2 years. Huh? And after that, Kakoa, he and his partner start suspecting it's like there was no forced entry, and it looks like, and then the fact there's an abuser with the
Moss is like motive.
Yeah. I mean, this is mostly the sub. If you guys watch I don't know if you guys watch lots of them, Discovery ID stuff and detective channel video series. You see, like sometimes the first people to suspect there's no evidence are the couples, the family, to see if there are any motive.
Yeah, because more often than not, they're the ones who did it.
Yep.
Right. And it's like, obviously, if you know the film, like the end of the film, like they're correct. Their instincts were correct.
Yeah. Makes me wonder how are they gonna charge at the end. Some questions that
I don't think there's anyone left to charge anybody.
Yeah. I mean,
that's
the
a good
movie ends
question.
on an uplifting note, but it's like, okay, there, she's still going to, yeah,
Yeah, she's going to
we'll
prison.
get there. Also,
Murder
God,
is still
I
murder if
completely
you do it
missed-
backwards.
Exactly.
Unless they have
Regardless of the fact that it was somebody else hijacking your brain, it was still your brain. I think
exactly.
that the court's going to have a hard time with this one. But I completely forgot to shout out, this film completely hijacking the color palette from Suspiria, and I am okay with that.
It's so colorful, yeah.
Yeah. It's once again, they're doing everything they can to say this is modern giallo. For good or ill. But yeah.
So after that we cut to, if I'm not mistaken, that's 2 weeks later. Is it 2 weeks later or?
Something like
Yeah,
that.
so-
Yeah, a couple weeks.
It's Madison at home. Yeah.
She comes home back to her house, but that night she knows that that the killer's looking at her from outside, and he's trying to look inside. She ends up.
Yeah, did you notice the hand model on her nightstand with its fingers kind of bent?
Oh, backwards.
a
Cool.
little bit?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I didn't notice that. So the next
But
day,
yeah, the little touch of the street light and everything, and you see the vague outline of a person outside in the mist. I dig it.
yeah, and so after that,
The thing about that though is that like she's not seeing that, right? So Gabriel is making her see that. Why is he doing that? That's my question, because if he doesn't
with
want
her.
her to, like just to be a jerk.
and also maybe it's also because
like brothers do.
Yeah. Maybe it's also because because we find out later because he started a little bit to manifest his powers slowly because he still maybe needed to control his powers. Maybe that's the reason why.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. So after that, the next day she ends up getting what's it called? Deadbolts? That's how we pronounce them. It's deadbolts.
Yeah, she's basically boarding up the house.
It's boarding up and her sister, she comes
it's
in,
this
just like-
montage.
It's a quick montage also. Her sister comes in, she sees like
It should have ended with her saying "groovy."
Oh, because the
When
way
her-
it was
when-
shot. Right.
When she tells her sister she's adopted,
That's what I was
that
like.
scene,
What?
that
the way it was
scene
written
is
and
such like a soap opera-y vibe to it, where it like does that slow pan into her sister. Her eyes just keep getting bigger and bigger, and it honestly made me laugh because it was so goofy. Like, like she's like, I don't know if you know this, but I'm adopted, and the sister's
Right.
like,
what? That's how you find out.
and cue the music box
Yes.
portion of the score. Where's my mind?
Yeah. Yeah, and then we cut to
Yeah.
what's it? The Seattle Underground, which I find out it's actually a real thing.
I want to do that. That looks so fun. I didn't know that was a real thing.
That looks like
That
tons of
looks
fun.
amazing.
And so we see like the tour guide. She's talking with the people. People, you were wondering, okay, what is this woman? Who is she? What's the deal with the whole stuff? We find out that we can talk about it later. So we see like the killer. He comes in, he kidnaps her, but he doesn't kill her. And then you see like he ties her up, but looks like in secret place when there's a fan. And then, but he just starts dressing himself. He takes his iconic the Gabriel jacket.
Yeah,
and
we get the gloves from Deep Red with the zipper on the back with
You
the
talk
little
about
ring.
this gloves and stuff. Did he have to pay rights for the movies that he has to? Because if he's doing, or
Yeah, probably not. It's
because I don't.
probably not. But I do appreciate the black glove thing. Again, another giallo trope. You always see things from the killer's point of view here and there, and it works for me. And also the nod to specific films, whether it's Suspiria or Deep Red or whatever. I'm down. I just
also,
love
I
how
forgot to mention,
the lady's tied up watching all this shit happen here.
Yeah. And also forgot to mention like Gabriel here, like it looks like he still hasn't got the ability to talk. He uses electronic stuff to speak. And then later we see him. He contacts after he gets dressed up, he contacts Dr. Weaver. It's like, I'm here to cut off the cancer. She finds out that Gabriel's alive. So so later we see Maddie. She goes on to go to the laundry room, and then she sees like Dr. Weaver's reflection on the mirror of the laundry machine. What's it called? The washer?
Machine's good.
Yeah.
Washing machine.
Washing machine, yeah. And then she finds out that she gets teleported, to Dr. Weaver's house. She sees Gabriel killing her, and she can't do nothing to
I
stop
like
it.
this effect of her world dissolving around her.
It reminds me of that scene from Hawkeye when what's her name, Yelena comes back from the snap. Remember?
Yeah, very similar effect.
Yeah. So
See,
just-
that effect doesn't work for me. I feel like it looks like so fake. I don't know. I don't have a good suggestion of like what to replace it with or anything, but I feel like it just makes everything around her look like plasticky and weird. And so like when it happens, I feel like it really takes me out of the film, like the changing perspective of like to that interior mind area versus like reality.
Also, a little bit of foreshadowing here again, because she's kind of trapped on the floor. She can't move. And just the way her hands are, kind of like bending back and her fingers are bending back and all that. Again, just a little bit of foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Horrible death scene for Weaver. Wow.
Yeah.
brutal.
And you thought being eaten by a shark is worse. All right. So we see like the police, they come and they investigate. The suspect is actually simpler because you notice that some of the fingerprint patterns is similar to how it was in the Derek's murder pattern. But they even say that we can't find the murder weapon. They feel like the killer took it with him. And they suspect that maybe the killer might be a patient because they noticed like the photo on the ground. And he was like, take all the patient file, we need to investigate them. And then after that we see, Maddie, she talks with her sister and she tells us like, she tells us a dream, like she dreamed that she saw Dr. Weaver's death, right?
Yeah, so I like how, she's been vomiting after experiencing this, and her sister's comforting her, and you have the light coming in through the window in the bathroom. It's like this halo effect, like this is this big holy moment or something.
In the bathroom?
It's very odd, the lighting choice. Yeah, the lighting choice in this moment.
Are you saying that bathroom is a holy place?
But I like it. Yeah, I'm saying she was there worshiping the porcelain god.
Yeah.
Of course, throne for a reason.
Yeah. When they're talking about all the records they're going to box up, I love Kakoa and Moss, their little back and forth about, what, you going to read all these? And he's like, no, we're going to read all of these. And she's like, oh, shit. That works. They've got good chemistry together, these two. You can tell they've been working together for fucking ever. And
that's one thing I think, like, I don't know if their actors were ad-libs or not, but I think like they did a great job with their acting, the both two actors. Kokoa and, what's her name? Moss, the detective.
Moss.
Yes. So, and then you saw like they're investigating, they're looking at files, and he's like, man, it's getting late. He goes to his for another one forensic guy. He tells him, hey, take this photo and age it up for me. So after that, if not mistaken, we see the other doctor, Dr. Field. He's talking on the phone, talking about Dr. Weaver, and then you find out that Gabriel has snuck into his room. Then we see like Maddie.
I love all the little fake outs.
Yeah.
Madeline, what's your opinion on these? The turning around, the windows open, going into the closet, expecting somebody to be in the closet. There's nobody there. And then the under the bed thing, we'll call back to Pet Cemetery there. Does that stuff work for you, or does it just not feel right in this?
I think it does. It does work for me. I feel like it's like it does and it doesn't, like both, like I like what they're trying to do, but I feel like it doesn't pay off in the way that I want it to, where it's like there's all these like, I think you're gonna be jump scares, but at this point I'm not really scared of Gabriel. Like I'm not really scared of what's gonna happen to this guy, because I feel like they haven't really given us anything to like invest on, right? Like it still seems like so much of like I I haven't developed any deep connections with any of these characters, and I think that's maybe one of the issues that I have with the film, which is like I don't really care for Maddie. They don't really give her a personality other than like she has miscarriages and she has an abusive boyfriend, but like I don't know anything about her.
I feel like the pacing is very rushed for the films. Like I
don't know anything about her. She has she's a nurse. Her sister is a party princess, but like we don't really learn very much about her backstory.
She's an actress.
Yeah. In Seattle, which is a weird place to be an actress.
Maybe that's like the border between Canada and Seattle, because maybe that's where the border. Maybe she goes to Canada to shoot some CW.
She goes to Vancouver, maybe.
Yeah.
That could be.
So I think it's like if I cared more about these people, maybe it would work a little bit better for me. I think like in execution, it's executed well. It's another thing where it's like, I do think James Wan is a fantastic director, and it's obvious that this film is executed well. It's made with care, but I feel like it's more stylish than like substance to me in a lot of the things that happens.
That is absolutely what this film is. It is style over substance. Absolutely. And I think that's what a lot of giallo is in general too. It's all about the vibe more than what is actually happening. A lot of the plots are confusing as hell, or make no sense almost deliberately. And in that aspect, sure, this is a success. But yeah, I get where you're coming from with this as well. Also, shout out to the Highlander reference here with the big red neon silver cup sign in the rain.
Oh, the ending of Bella. I just remembered. Because I've seen this movie a lot, and it became actually one of my favorite top 10 movie, Highlander one. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the original's great.
I'm surprised that it didn't do well when it first came out, both critically and financially. What was that?
It's definitely grown a cult following.
We were talking about this. We talked about Dr. Feast, and she has another dream of him. And also one last thing, Shaw, and of course, man, we talked about how it's like the CSI, she's flirting with him, and then same time you see like Shaw, no, he's more interested in the sister, the blonde one. He's like, no, I don't want that one, I want this one.
He's like, I'm not interested in you.
Yeah, I don't want the geek, I want this one.
Yeah, those two are definitely into each other. So Madison, she has her, her new vision of this guy. Yeah, and I love how it does present itself kind of like sleep paralysis. Mm-hmm. That works for me, because she cannot move, and in context of everything that's going on in this film, of course she can't move because she is basically a prisoner in her own body whenever Gabriel takes over. That works. That's cool.
They go to the police and they tell Shaw and I don't know, what's it, Ross, right?
Moss.
Moss about the murder. It's just like they give his skeptical. It's like, at least go and check it. They go to the hotel because Maddie, because she finds out, she Googles because she because of the, like you mentioned, the borderline, the silver cup. They find out its location. They go there and they see the dead body. And she even gives now. I like that this part is like, she gives me a photo. It's like, you want us to look for Sloth from the Goonies? When the Gabriel photo.
Mine did make me laugh.
yeah, I got a chuckle out of me too. I love when they're first rolling up. Yeah, I love when they're first rolling up to the apartment building. The score kind of kicking in. It's just kind of pulsing a little bit. It's a super giallo score at this point. And also the little flirtatious, you can, commit her and put handcuffs on me, and the little knowing glances back and forth between Moss, Shaw, and back to the sister's name. Is it Sydney?
Sydney.
Sydney, yeah.
And the actress who playing her, his name is
again,
Maddie.
just driving home. Yeah, they're stupid for each other. But yeah, it's cute. And I love how they offer to go inside and help. And they're like, no, you other cops, you're gonna watch them.
Yeah. Yeah, because God knows, because if you have civilians, they might end up contaminating the crime scene. That's also another reason, because she said there's a murder.
I also feel like it's not a good precedent to have a murder suspect investigate the crime scene of which you suspect them of murdering someone. Like, also, you are a suspect in this murder.
Say again.
Also, why would take if you guys think you're suspect? Why would we take it with you? Because there's lots of questionable stuff they do in the film.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Moss is very by the book about a lot of this stuff, and that comes back later too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is a little weird. Why would you bring them with you?
Especially something what Shaw does later. You know, this makes lots of questionable stuff. So they actually after she gave them like the picture of Sloth from the Goonies. She enters the bathroom, and that's where Gabriel calls her. And then here he doesn't call her Madison, he calls her Emily. And she tells us like these are not your parents or like I know everything. And then she calls him Gabriel. It's like, oh, so you do remember me. And then he shuts off the phone. Then they exit, they leave, and that's after they leave. There was show said, oh, he sees that CSI guy hand him the photo. Where's the photo? It's like, didn't you already talk with her? It's like, what? Yeah, that's the woman from the photo. I de-aged her. He looks at the photo.
Isn't that why you brought her in?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it almost looks like a headshot of the actress
very
that plays
accurate.
Madison.
Yeah.
Yes.
He is very good at his job. That makeup artist.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I've used that app on the what was it? The Apple that the de-aging app. Sometimes they will make Nick Scarpino old man. But I'm pretty sure Ben maybe uses it for his photoshops. Or maybe he used that one. Maybe he didn't like use. Okay. What was that? Oh yes. So she tells like Sydney, Madison tells her sisters like of that Gabriel call. It's like, why don't you go to the cops? Like they're suspecting me that I'm a suspect. Did they have that they were suspecting as a suspect when they were talking with them?
I think Madison is concerned at this point that she could be considered a suspect.
Yeah. I mean, she definitely is a suspect.
She is.
Yeah, but their first husband's dead because there were no witnesses. The only witness is the neighbor who heard a screaming sound. Because you don't know if that was screaming.
I think from here they go to... Yeah, because otherwise how would she have ever been found?
Yeah. She goes to her mom, who's played by Suzanne Thompson. And if you guys are CW viewers, that's the actress who played Oliver Queen's mom in Arrow. She plays their mom. That's on the wheelchair and she's sick.
Yeah, she was good in those first couple seasons.
Yeah, she was one of the best parts. And but doesn't Sydney comes in the beginning of the episode? She said, "Oh, mom cooked us something for you,
a casserole."
Yeah, and just like and you're seeing us like, so look, is she good enough to cook some food with her health?
Like she probably was okay, but just needed like rest every once in a while.
Yeah, maybe that's why. So
she did have a mystery illness that they never really
health.
explained.
Yeah. And then
I do commend her because if my child tried to stab me with a knife while I was pregnant in my sleep, I don't know if I would have a great relationship with them for the rest of our time together.
Yeah.
She went to therapy. She worked it out. She's in a good place with her daughter.
Because they do hint
and like, thank God for mom and the VCR.
Yeah, exactly. She still has that VCR.
Yeah, because they do,
who else has anything to watch a VHS on?
At least not like Arrow. I don't know if you remember, there was a season where they find a Betamax. It's like, I'll go and play. You just see on a laptop. Oh, I'm playing the Betamax on screen. There is no laptop. You can wave just the Betamax on screen and it will open for you. So
I'm old enough to remember both formats being on the shelf at the video store.
I think we still own a Betamax. I don't know if it's still working or not.
That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder what the viewers are now. What the hell is the Betamax?
The birthday and the Christmas
because
videos
they tell her mom, have you heard of Gabriel?
Creepy.
And she tells her like that was your imaginary friend. And because you mentioned why she was okay, but I think part of the reason you mentioned is like they believe that maybe that her Maddie had a traumatic childhood, and that's why they thought that maybe that's why they were a little bit okay on her. Maybe you get that. I think they might give an explanation why that's, but it's not a good explanation, but at least that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after they play the clip. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the Christmas, the part, this we're saying you have to go kill your sister, right? He was telling her?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is that the telephone from Toy Story 3? It looks like a little bit like it.
Yeah, it might be the same type of toy.
Yeah.
That was like a
I feel
common
like this kid
toy.
is a little old for a toy like that, but what do I know? Because
heck,
she's turning
I saw
9 in the
last movie
birthday?
I saw Rob Schneider, who was playing at 16, and he was, if not by the time when he was recording that film, he was 30. A 30-year-old man playing a teenager. Keep that in mind.
Like I do think
that always used to be the norm in Hollywood, but
yeah, exactly. Like I said earlier, like I do think McKenna Grace is my favorite part of this movie. I think she brings a lot more to the Maddie character than Annabelle Wallis does later. I feel like Annabelle Wallis feels like a little bit like scared all the time. Like I'm not seeing as much nuance in the way that she's acting, whereas I think McKenna Grace gives me a lot more different emotions that I'm able to resonate with her more on that young character than in the older one.
yeah. Well, I also think that McKenna Grace is doing an excellent job just playing a young version of that character. She's got a lot of
that's her
trappings
resume.
down.
If you look at it, she's playing mostly a younger version of actors up until now. But I don't know if she's gonna break up now because after Ghostbusters, she's gonna get more opportunities now. I mean, what was it?
Yeah, she was an awesome part of that Ghostbusters film.
Because I still haven't
It
seen
was her movie.
Because that's what I heard. Everyone says it's her movie.
Yeah, I enjoyed the hell out of it.
The only criticism I heard is the fan service in the film. They rely on nostalgia. That's the only criticism I heard about it.
It's a weaponized nostalgia bomb for sure.
Yeah.
But I think in a good way.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of the first movie, you will love the hell out of Afterlife.
Yeah, so which he saw, like, he finds a USB in one of the files, and he finds that he suspects there's
Shaw, yeah.
Dr. Gregory, who's seen having a bathtub, because we later see Maddie, she gets another vision of Gabriel killing him in the bathtub, and she sees, like, Shaw comes in and she tries to warn him, but he can't heal her, like, he's in the room. And also, this one of the thing I said, I
love the shot of her standing there watching and seeing Gabriel just slide out behind her.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. Also,
I like that.
Also,
I
this
like
one
that
thing
a
I have
lot.
to show is, like, why not, if you suspect this guy's about to get killed, why not go with Becca with you, just you?
I know. I can't believe that he didn't call Moss, that he didn't call anybody. He just, roars up to this apartment building and races inside. But he's trying to be the, big damn hero, right?
Yeah.
And
I feel like a generous reading is that he doesn't want Sydney or Madison to, like, be guilty. So he's like, if I do this by myself, then I can kind of, like, control the information that the rest of the team gets, and hopefully they're innocent.
Yeah, that could be.
And even after, he gets attacked, but he doesn't get killed, and he starts chasing him. I was like, couldn't he at least maybe call for backup when he's running? Because he already says it's not her, it's like someone else who's changed. It's not Madsen. And
I will say this chase.
So here's where we get. Yeah.
Go ahead, Joe. The chase
please.
scene, is crazy. Like, it's so funny because I do think it's a really fun chase scene, but it feels like it should be in a different film. Like, it's like it comes out of nowhere. They're doing, like, parkour everywhere, like jumping off the ceiling, doing all this crazy shit. And I'm like,
I have a question about the fire escape. Why didn't he lower the ladder? He had to jump on a closed garbage.
I think he was just trying to hurry.
Yeah.
Yes, and he also wants to be super cop, but he is not. And I feel for his shoulder.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, at least we would have had him at least, kick actually. What was it? The ladder, see if he can lower it. If not, we at least jump.
But that whole
and then
chase
there's
scene
the
is
chase into the
Seattle
underground
areas.
and. Yeah, that was good.
That was actually a good
scene. And, sufficiently spooky when they're in the underground.
Yeah. It turns into, like,
it
reminded me of, what was it, The Conjuring 2, when they're remember when they're in the basement, there's water leak?
Yeah.
It's kind of remind me, but instead of water, we got smoke instead.
Yep.
Yeah. So after
great
that,
music, great lighting, and all of this.
So after that, he and Moss, they end up going to Mass, and they tell her, like, hey, we find out that your real name is Emily May, and you were actually a patient for the 3 doctors who died. And she tells him, like, Emily, that's what he called me, Gabriel. It's like, I can't remember anything. She tells him, like, she has a she just is amnesia, but she doesn't remember anything, right, from her past. He tells her, you know what, we'll bring actually,
Right.
our psychiatric hypnotherapist to help you remember.
Okay.
There actually she does it to her, and she only remembers the part where she gets adopted, and then she finds out memory that Gabriel did in fact one time he controlled and tricked her into killing her mom. Where you see like she's seeing like she's about to cut the cake, but she's about to cut off her mom's belly to kill Sydney.
Yep, and she has a massive freak out.
Yeah.
And
then
they have to wake her up.
Yeah. And there was like...
Well, and then I love this fake out of, how they go from that happening to an establishing shot of the city and then back to the place where this mystery woman is being held.
Yeah. This thing, I would say, this is the one that made me laugh when I saw it, because it's like I watched like a scene from Home Alone when she falls
through the ceiling.
Oh, it comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, I was like, okay, did this turn into a Home Alone now? When she falls?
And I think too, this is where like this might be a Giallo thing, but I just feel like it doesn't work here. Where they just do like the slow pan into Maddie's face, like from across the room, and she just starts screaming.
Well, and there's the like flashing lights that wouldn't be there in the moment.
Yeah.
But of course, because it's a Giallo, it's all about the colors and the flashing light and all that. So while it's like, okay, this makes no sense. And I love the slow motion, and then they cut to the rain and all that, and Sydney pounding on the car, telling her it's going to be okay, and then we get Moss like, "This is a crime scene. You cannot be here. Okay. Like, I don't care that any of this shit is going on with your life. You have to go." Yeah. She is a good cop.
Yeah.
Kakao is just dumb.
Yeah, he just wants some white ass. That's what he wants.
He's just trying to get a girlfriend.
Yeah, he wants to get laid. That's what he wants.
He is very much into Sydney, and he feels very conflicted now.
Yeah. He was like, should I listen to my brain or to my dick? That's what he was thinking. So what was that?
I suppose that's a possibility.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, so
I think from here,
if they go to the attic, they
found to Mom's. Yeah.
No, they go to the attic.
No, yeah, you're right.
They find the jacket and the murder weapon. And then after that, it goes to... The thing there is where they're interrogating her, to telling her, like, it's not me, it was Gabriel. And then Gabriel calls them on the phone. Mm-hmm. He tells them, like, I am...
you get that explosion because of his control of electricity and all that.
I do like, one of my favorite parts of this scene that I thought worked well was whenever he was like, you didn't tell them what you used to call me. And she's like, the devil. And it like kind of like goes in, and I was like, okay, that worked. That was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's thing when Sydney tells us, like, goes to her mom. It's like, do you have the name? I want to know more about her bags, about Maddie's bags. Maybe I might find answers about Gabriel. She tells him the location of the adoption place. They call her. It's like, oh yeah, did he tell us, like?
Yeah. Thank God, Mom's a hoarder. Because otherwise we never would have been able to find the hospital again.
Yeah, she finds, I think, the hospital name or the adoption service that she gives her.
Yep, and she calls and
they tell her to go to the hospital on the cliff.
And they say that it's an abandoned hospital.
Yeah, we get that great establishing shot of the drive.
Yeah, this is what you guys want to talk about, where she drives to the cliff.
She drives like this close to the edge.
And we can see that this cliff is clearly eroding because the building itself is falling apart from the cliff falling apart. This is not the best place to park your car.
Maybe had a scene where the cliff is falling, the castle's falling, then she has to run away.
I just feel like one strong gust of wind, that car is going over this edge. Yes. Like a little gust, it pushes it over.
So she enters
and I get it. It's all in service of a cool shot because it looks super cool. It's just dumb. But yeah.
Yeah. And also there she enters the hospital, and she finds like the tape of files about the Madsen under the name of Emily May. She grabs on back to her home, and meanwhile we see like Madsen, she's in the prison cell. She's getting harassed by the prisoners. And after that we cut back.
Yeah, it's a prison. it's a jail cell straight from the late 70s, early 80s.
They're even dressed like the 70s.
I don't know where they found all these people.
Yeah, all of them wearing like jean outfits.
Maybe they were at the there was a 70s themed party, and they was like, "Oh, we went wild." The police arrested them.
That could be. Yeah.
Yeah. So afterwards, so Sydney and her mom, they start playing the tapes. They open the tape where you find out about Emily's mom, Serena, I think May, if I'm not mistaken. That's the actors who were playing the younger version of the mom. That's actually the one in The Conjuring 2, the one who she gets possessed by the devil in the sequel.
Right.
That's her. And there they find out that they told her like their mom actually died during child, but they find out that she gave them up to the doctors to cure him. Because they're actually we find out that because I remember watching the mom just like we later find out that the kidnapped woman is actually the mom. She's the older woman. So basically, Gabriel who's been trying to he's trying to kill her to punish her, maybe for like.
Yeah, you get that crossfade of the one face to the other, and it's like, okay, very clear. Yes, this is the mother.
Yeah, because I remember when I saw her, it's like I found out her mom. Did you give it explanation? Because I remember she looks too young to play her mom. Did they explain it because she got raped at the age of 15? Because that's why she got pregnant. Because that was explained why did she looks
was very young.
And then explains why. Mm-hmm. And by the way, that's the actors.
Yep,
the actors who plays the older version of the mom. That's the actors that was in the Uncle Buck. That's her.
Okay. Okay.
Part 2 of the Uncle Buck cast.
Maybe I should
yes. Like, share, subscribe.
Yeah.
So the video of the surgery to remove Gabriel.
Not before that. It's when they revealed Gabriel. You saw the reaction, right? Did you hear talking with them?
Yeah.
So it's like, oh my god.
Oh yeah, that is all of us watching this. It's like yeah.
So we find out that Gabriel is actually not an imaginary. It's actually her twin brother, who wasn't properly separated in their mom's womb. He became like something called a parasite twin, which like you see, it became more like a tumor, like a human stuck on her body.
It's Stephen King's The Dark Half.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they share a spine and a brain.
So they saw like how problem is that we have to remove it, but they said the only problem is that we can't remove his brain because we're gonna be very deadly. So instead we're gonna keep the brain. We're gonna remove all body of Gabriel, and the skull to put it back together.
Yep, we're just gonna mash everything inside her skull and hope it doesn't pop open again. And and we're such amazing plastic surgeons that you'll never see any scarring on her back.
No, we
or
just
anything.
have her grow her.
It's.
I mean, we didn't see her.
That's why she has that thick, luscious hair.
Maybe
Good thing she has very thick, nice hair in the back of her head.
So while all of this is happening, we see like Gabriel starts to cover Mandiba while she's getting attacked in prison. She attacks the prisoners, and then Gabriel, with under Matt's body, he escapes. And to go and wreak havoc on the police station. And then that's when we see Sydney. She calls Shaw. She tells him like Gabriel's like is inside of her, like he's taking care of her body, like he got awakened after Derek smashed her head on the wall. And then you see like
the whole prison fight and like the whole police station fight is like very much teetering on comical the entire time. Like it's cool. It feels very like John Wick. And then at the end, there's a part.
Just what I was going to say.
Yeah, the chair. I was like, why?
Where he chucks the chair across the room and nails them in the head and knocks them down. And I'm just like, what? It feels.
Don't forget
like
all the severed limbs and compound fractures as well.
It's so weird.
And also, what was that? Oh, yes. That's actually, I don't know if you guys, that's actually reminds me of the scene in Aquaman with the fighting. I think the Nicole Kidman fight scene, if you remember, because he's done something like this in the first Aquaman.
Oh, really?
Oh, from the beginning?
Yeah, when Nicole Kidman fights the Atlanteans.
She throws a chair at them?
Yeah. Or the fight between The Rock and Jason Statham in the beginning of the 7th Fast and Furious
because
movie.
He does this a lot with his ways, King James Wan.
James Wan has a thing he likes to do, which is hit people with chairs from across the room.
Yeah, or just the way that the camera does follow the action in certain ways, in ways that are somehow, sometimes a little less expected or a little bit more novel. Yeah. But as weird and heightened and over the top as this fight scene is, it kicks so much ass.
It does.
I
It
love
does.
it. It's
Yeah.
so much fun. It's so dumb, but it's so much fun.
All right,
I can't
before
help
they
it.
start the fight scene, Sydney does tell them she suspects that Gabriel's going to kill their mom actually in the hospital, and because we see like Moss and Shaw.
Right. He has to hang up the phone because he hears everything
Yeah.
going on inside the precinct.
And
yep,
Moss actually
okay.
saw it. She gives Gabriel sometimes. He injures her. And, what's her name? When she comes out, and of course because she's James Wan, she had to be.
Oh yeah, she's been hiding in
Yeah.
the evidence room. We forgot the part where Gabriel comes in to get his coat and his weapon again.
Well, obviously,
Yeah.
he needs to fight in his fighting coat.
Yeah. Well, it's what keeps him clean, so that when he goes away, nobody will ever suspect Madison.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So after that,
Sure.
What was that? Oh yes, he escapes the Shaw said I have to go. He's going to go to the hospital, and we see Sydney going to his hospital. And I like the fact the doctor, like the security. I mean, he gets his pacemaker blown up because of Gabriel.
Oh yeah, that was so
Yeah,
weird.
that's gnarly.
That was kind of fun because they had established that sort of electricity thing,
Yeah.
and it was a fun little twist on that.
Yeah. So Sydney
Yeah,
comes-
and then he dies, and the light goes out, and then it goes right back on, and Gabriel's right there in front of her.
Yeah, he starts fighting her, Sydney and Shaw, but and also Shaw he gets injured, and he takes the trophy and stabs in his arm, and then later he grabs the gun. He's about to kill Sydney, and after he throws the hospital bed on her, and then Sydney decides to call for man. She tells her like he's the one who's responsible for your miscarriage. He was feeding on your baby so that he can manifest himself when he wakes up. And then later you see him like he grabs the gun, he kills Sydney. Then you see their mom. She tells him like Gabriel, look, I'm sorry I dropped you. I left you alone, etc. But then he doesn't listen and he kills her. After that, you notice that the whole time Maddie was tricking him. She got free and she starts to learn how to use his power like him, and she locks him in the mansion. And he tells us like I'm gonna come back, and I'll finish everything. He's like, and I'll be ready for you when you come out. After that, you find out that he has not killed her sister and her biological mom. I do like it's like, if he can do it, I can do it. And I have the same power as his. She lifts the bed.
I love how she's doing all this with a bullet wound through her
Yeah.
abdomen.
All right, there's
where
the
you
bullet
can see
wound.
light coming through it from the other side.
It's a little crazy, and I feel like this is like I
Maybe
understand where
that
they're
he
going.
has
with
the
this, but
generation powers. Maybe we don't know about.
it just feels like a little unearned. Like, how did she come to this conclusion so quickly with like basically no, she has been so helpless this entire time, and then all of a sudden they're like, he killed your babies, and she was like, yeah, I'm mad now. Okay. And then she just figured out how to do everything that he's been
Super
doing.
mom. Yeah. Yeah, it makes no sense. The ending is a little rushed.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was like we don't know what happened to Shaw.
And,
Like,
and also the whole thing. Yeah, he's out in the hallway
It's like,
here
"Hey,
with
what about me?"
the trophy in his shoulder.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
between
just, like,
landing on the
ends,
dumpster and then but you get that little stinger of the electricity noise on the lamp
On the lamp,
you
yeah.
cut the credits. Yeah.
We don't know. Maybe we don't know if that's Gabriel,
I-
if that's her. Maddie's just learning how now she has the powers. And she doesn't know how to use them. Maybe that's what. So that's actually
You
the
never
ending.
know. But
You know, like-
okay, so we got to talk about how the way this ends up, because okay, great. We all know it was Gabriel controlling her, but at the end of the day, somebody's got to answer for everything that happened between the three doctors and the police station and all of that. And
Here's the thing, Joe. I have the
I mean,
perfect
what do you do?
explanation. I think you need to
Okay,
call
let's
the
hear it.
Warrens. You need to call the Warrens and say, I was possessed by the devil, because she did call him the devil. And then the Warrens can be like, look, devil possession, not her fault. Get her off scot-free.
shared universe. Boom.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, Annabelle wasn't the Conjuring like we established. And this is actually Malignant, so I think now we can move on to our final thought and our score. So is it a redeemable, unredeemable? So, and also I introduced a new score. It's called minor redemption. Basically, if you're actually in the mix, so you don't know what to give it, possibly give it a minor redemption if you want to. So Joe, do you want to go first?
No, I would love to hear Madeline first.
Okay,
Oh
Madeline, you
gosh.
first.
So final thoughts. I do think like there is some parts of this that I enjoy. I do think overall though, it's not like a fun movie for me to watch because it's so silly. I think one of the big things when I was watching this again is I was comparing it to the remake they did of Suspiria,
Yeah.
where it's like that kind of was more of the vibe that I was kind of hoping for, which like I found the remake of Suspiria to be a lot scarier. It still has that modern giallo vibe. It has really cool sound effects, really cool visuals, but it didn't feel like silly or goofy to me. It still felt like very
No, it's
much in
intense.
line. It's intense. And I think that's kind of where Malignant loses me because I am not, I think the silliness and the goofiness and the sort of over the top, like unintentional humor of Malignant just like loses me when I'm watching it because it totally takes me out of all of the things that I do like. Like there are a lot of those redeeming pieces that we spoke about, some really cool like little horror sets, some really cool ideas that just get lost with how goofy it gets. And I think that's like when I compare those two, it's like I really wish we had gone in the more Suspiria direction than this Malignant direction for this, because I think that would have personally just made this a lot more fun of or a lot more movie that I would want to watch. Like I just don't really want to watch this like silly, goofy, like soap opera-y horror thing that we get. So I don't know. I think it's so dependent on like what you're looking for a movie. I think for me, I don't think it's something I'm ever gonna watch again. I don't know if it's redeemable for me, but I think
Sorry
it
about
depends on
this.
what you want. For if you want a silly, goofy, over the top horror movie, then I do think that this is a well-made, well-crafted film that's just like not for me.
Okay, Joe, your turn. Mine
Yeah,
is last. Your
I absolutely get all of that. I absolutely find this redeemable. You know, I'm a fan of this film. I love how bonkers over the top this is. This is absolutely drawing everything that it can out of 70s, 80s giallo that in a lot of respects is silly, is bonkers. Um, I, 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 in some ways, almost like the idea that this film is in some ways trolling us
Yeah,
as far as
it kind
what
of is.
it, it, this movie is like the ultimate troll in that we're all expecting another Conjuring film or, you know, some of the other lesser films of that series. Um, but to a large degree, just as homage and just all the fun little Easter eggs and just again the bonkers nature in its own right. It all seems to work for me. It's one of those things where um, I, I'm I like the dichotomy between, you know, if you're looking at the Rotten Tomatoes scales, because
I
as
think
you
it's
should, that's
favorable.
what
I think
this the whole
78, something
conceit of
like.
this podcast. Yeah, it's in the 70s for the critics' reviews, so it is certified fresh. But as far as viewers, it's only like a 52% fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a very polarizing film for viewers. And I get that. I think this film, like it was for you, is, you know, just something where it is not for everyone. It's if you vibe with it, that's awesome. I clearly do. You know, for those who don't, I get it. And,
Yeah.
you know, in the spirit of this film being an ultimate troll, I'm still going to needle you about it here and there because it's fun.
Well, I do
But,
want to say one thing. I would much rather. I really appreciate that James Wan did something, that he had the ability to do something unique, creative, completely its own thing, not part of an IP,
Yeah.
not a remake, not a requel, not anything. Like, I would much rather people give filmmakers the right to make something that I don't like and Joe likes than a bunch of sanitized movies that we're getting that is trying to appeal to
Yes.
everyone. Like, I'm totally fine not
yeah.
liking this movie and you liking it and us having more creative diversity within films
Yeah.
than to make a bunch of boring stuff that everyone likes. So like on that
Yeah.
sense, this is redeemable for me just because I want to see more artists make art that maybe doesn't resonate with everybody, you know?
Yeah, perfect timing for that type of conversation too, because we just got Jordan Peele's third film, Nope, and there are people that absolutely love it from its from the spectacle of the film. It is a gorgeous film.
Yeah.
It's you got what's his face, Hoytnam or
Yeah,
whatever
he's
his name
The guy
is.
who
amazing.
does Christopher Nolan's
He's the
movies.
DP on that one.
He's
Yeah,
so good.
it is a gorgeous film. It even the plot, it works really well. The acting is outstanding, but are you getting all the social commentary you got from his two previous films? Only a little. There's just a little
I haven't
sprinkling
seen
of it
it
here
yet. I'm
and there.
seeing it tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm saying when it comes
Yeah,
on VOD.
I will say no more other than that, but that seems to be the general consensus that's out there. But yeah, again, give Peele and others like him the ability to just, make new shit, make other stuff that is not established IP, and just see where it goes. You don't necessarily need to throw a blank check at them like they did with Wan with this one, but
Maybe a little more guidance.
I mean, I don't know if there's
he will be more reined in with whatever he does next, for sure.
also, especially because, like I said, he has a deal with WB, and also, if you guys know, because WB now they're being very protective of what they spend, especially with David Zaslav. I mean, I think because of one, but he'll become more overlooked. But I don't know if they're gonna give him the same freedom as he did with this one. Because not the reason, because
Probably not.
yeah, probably because they released it on HBO Max. And one thing I would say about this film, this feels more better as a streaming film than theatrical release film. Because I think it's bad because of the type of movie it is. I think it works better as a streaming film. Because I don't know if I would have enjoyed if I saw it theatrically. But formal, if he wants to know my
I definitely went to go see it in the theater after I saw it on HBO Max.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm probably biased because I enjoyed the hell out of it, but I thought it worked well. Just because visually this film,
It's beautiful.
just rips. Oh, yeah. And seeing that on a great big screen, was cool. For sure.
Yeah.
Yes. What are your thoughts on this particular
I can't wait to hear.
cinematic jewel?
So this is what the one fans looking for. My opinion over both of them. It's fine.
Right down the middle of the road.
Yeah, it was fine. I mean, mostly because, like I said, it's just a streaming movie. That's what I see it for. Because, I mean, I feel like it's out of all. Because most of the time when you think about Gallows, I think people think, it's the artsy-fartsy movies, like the more art film. Because that's one thing you mentioned, Suspiria. I think people didn't. The remix, because people saw it more of an art horror film than an actual, that's why. Because a lot of people, I think, they don't like to see, like, mostly European films, especially because they see them more like as an art film than a mainstream film. This one, I think, is be easier access for people because it's not a very artsy-fartsy, like what people call it.
Fair, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I admit, some stories and stuff, like, they make me questionable stuff, like, they don't feel weak. There are some cool stuff, maybe, like, the action stuff. For all, it's a fine film. So if I have to score it, it's a very low redemption for me.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
So we all cancel each other out then, ultimately.
I think so.
I'm in the middle, so. That's why, if you're in the middle, you give it a low redemption. That's what me and Lee gave, what was it? We did Surf Ninja. We saw, it's like, it was a fine film. It's not like an Oscar stuff. Especially maybe the part where Leslie Nielsen grabs his dick. Which that's an actual scene in the film. We'll talk about it later. One day.
Just let me know when you do Jurassic World Dominion because I have a lot of hateful things to say about that movie.
Who doesn't?
Yeah.
Doesn't.
Fallen
That's so
Kingdom,
true.
super fun. Dominion, not so much.
This
Such
is like
a bummer.
this is what every sequel is like. Every time you see a movie, it makes the previous one, the worst one, looks better.
Truly.
Yeah. It was a wasted opportunity for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And to think he was gonna do Star Wars Episode 9.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I think that's it.
That being said, I will say I am happy with what we got for episode 9.
I hated Episode
Makes me
9
appreciate it more.
because it's because there's you know what, I'm gonna talk about this for a discussion for another day for Star Wars.
No, save it for another day.
We don't need to get into the Star Wars today.
God, we're opening
No.
a can of worms with Star Wars. And thank
yes.
God we're not doing it because a lot of you don't know I'm not doing any Snyder films because that's also not kind of worm. And I'm glad I did.
Yeah,
Joe,
I saw that.
Joe, I did with you. Man of Steel. Because
Thanks for letting this happen, all the Snyder fans. Thanks
Yeah.
for bringing Joe and I on.
Yeah. That's the only positive thing they did is they gave us this review. So I think this is it for today's episode. Thanks guys for joining in. And Joe, where can people find you?
You can find my dumb podcast, Murders with Mertens, on YouTube. Don't have that custom URL yet. I'm creeping up on halfway there for that. But my podcast, we sit down with the guests and discuss one of their favorite scary films and talk about all the fun stuff that we can find from it.
Yeah.
It's been a good time so far. I've had both of you on as guests. You've both been tons of fun.
Yeah.
Definitely going to get you back on again at a later time. But
can't wait to see what Maddie's
other than that,
the second one.
I'm sure it will be something awesome.
Yeah.
I have no doubts there. No doubts whatsoever.
Because I already told you what's mine, but you can keep it a secret until the episode premieres.
Yeah, we won't bring that up quite yet.
A secret.
But it's going to be a fun one for sure.
Yay.
But yeah, you can find me there on YouTube, and then you can see my dumb opinions on Twitter at jmertens.
Also, how about you, Maddie?
Hey, so I stream like horror games and other fun games on Twitch at twitch.tv/MadExposure. And I'm also Mad Exposure pretty much everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Hit me up at Mad Exposure and all of those places for lots of fun opinions.
You mentioned your stream because last night when we were doing the Zoom call, Joe said, man, he was sleeping because he spent the whole night watching your stream yesterday.
Oh yeah, that was fun. We were playing some
late.
Detroit Become Human.
Yeah. What do you think of it? Is this your first time?
No, it's my second time playing. I like the game play itself a lot. I think the story is a little hit or miss sometimes, but overall, like I have a lot of fun playing it. So. There
were some moments that they would make you laugh because I remember my sister were playing. They did some stuff. They were just more laugh, mostly because for that stupid things they do. So as for me,
it gets really goofy sometimes.
Yeah. Especially who's making it. Don't make me talk about the American president. That's the best part of it.
Yes.
So as for me, so it's at Twitter, the YazMan300 Twitter for some reason suspended my old account. The Yaz300 Pro from on Twitter, Instagram, and to find all the information about my YouTube channel, go to MrYazMan300 Productions for this podcast. You can find this one on any podcast service at Apple. I forgot. I want to say item about it's the same thing. So Spotify and both. So basically, most of it, but mostly you can find it in Spotify and Apple. So I think that's it for today's episode. And as a reminder, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. 1 million subscribers and we get to review Adventure of Achela. Joe's gonna be new favorite nightmare. It looks like he's still prepared.
And you'll all get to join us.
Hey, we already got Andy. You know what? I don't know if I told you this, but I want to get Andy to be for one of the Tyler Perry movies.
Oh boy.
Because I have some movies for him to see. And and I also, posted a timeline. I don't know if you guys saw it on Twitter for what I plan to do for the rest of the year. So basically,
very exciting.
Yeah, because Joe said you'll have to do if you want to. I have one of the episodes for Event Horizon. Both of you guys want to do it.
Ooh, I love Event Horizon.
Yeah. But maybe something. I think Joe also loves it.
Damn good movie.
Maybe I can get you guys for both of it to come in.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah. I think the next episode we are going to do is Predator 2, and after that is Master of the Universe. And if you guys are interested.
Predator 2, yes.
Masters
of the Universe, no.
Why?
I just don't have any desire in watching that film ever again.
Okay. Maybe I can make Andy see it.
Once in the theater as a kid was enough.
Yeah. All right, so that's it actually for today's episode. I hope I see you guys on the next one. Bye.
See you. Thanks for having us.
Take care.